Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Imagine preparing for the biggest physical and tactical test of your professional life, but your opponent is essentially a ghost.
Yeah, a total unknown.
Right? You won't know who they are, how they play, or what they're going to do until just hours before the match. And that is the bizarre, fascinating scenario the Springboks are walking into in just 60 days.
It's a massive challenge.
It really is.
Uh-huh.
Today, we are looking at a huge stack of sources, from Rassie Erasmus's recent press interviews to Sanzar attendance data and tactical previews to break down the kickoff of the 2026 season. And it all starts with the Springboks taking on the legendary Barbarians for the Yes Play Cup in Gqeberha.
It's going to be huge.
But before we tear into the tactics of how you actually defend against a mystery team or look at the brutal schedule looming on the horizon, a quick reminder, if you want to stay ahead of the game, make sure to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession channel and newsletter.
You really don't want to miss it because, it is a remarkable way to start a season.
Oh, absolutely.
We are looking at a year designed to test the structural integrity of the Springbok squad. But to understand the stakes of this opening match, we have to look at the environment where it's taking place. Gqeberha is experiencing a massive wave of rugby fever right now.
Yeah, our sources show the atmosphere is already building, mostly because the Sanzar Rugby Championship for under-20s kicks off on Monday at that exact stadium.
Right, the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium.
Exactly. And for anyone who doesn't track the administrative side, Sanzar is the body running the major Southern Hemisphere competitions. So South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Argentina.
A big guns.
Yeah. Having their premier under-20 tournament in Gqeberha means the city is going to be marinating in top-tier international rugby for weeks before the Springboks even arrive.
And that cumulative effect is vital. By the time the senior squad runs out of the tunnel, the local crowd will be completely primed.
Oh, for sure.
And the data from our sources highlights something really crucial about that specific crowd. Coach Rassie Erasmus noted that the average attendance at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium is over 95% of capacity.
Wow.
Yeah, he's practically issuing a public challenge to the fans to hit that mark again.
But let's break down why that 95% figure actually matters on the pitch, because it's easy to just call it a home field advantage, right? But what does a packed stadium physically do to an opposing team?
Well, it creates a tangible mechanical disruption. When you breach that 90% capacity threshold in a bowl-shaped arena like Nelson Mandela Bay, the acoustics change entirely.
Like the sound gets trapped.
Exactly. It gets trapped and just cascades down onto the pitch. For a visiting team, it means the fly half cannot easily communicate adjustments to the back line.
Right.
It means the hooker throwing the ball into a line-out might not even hear the jumper's call over the roar of the crowd.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It is. The sensory overload forces visiting players to rely on visual cues rather than verbal ones, which slows down their reaction time by crucial fractions of a second. Meanwhile, the Springboks are conditioned to use that wall of noise as a trigger for their defensive line speed.
Which perfectly explains the almost mythical statistic we pulled from the data. The Springboks have played 9 tests at the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium. The result: 8 wins, 1 draw, and 0 losses.
Incredible.
No team has ever managed to beat them there. It's honestly like walking to a lion's den where the lions also happen to hold the master key and control the locks.
That is the perfect way to put it. That undefeated record over 9 international tests is a total anomaly in modern professional rugby.
Yeah, you just don't see it.
You don't. And when a visiting team looks at that statistic, it acts as a psychological weight. They know they're stepping into a venue where the home team feels structurally invincible.
I look at the Springbok defensive system, especially at home, like a hydraulic press.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. It's slow, it is incredibly structured, and once it clamps down on you, it's virtually impossible to escape. Look at a benchmark they set last year. Granted, it was at a different home venue, but they played Italy in front of over 44,000 fans. The result was a 45-early shutout.
Just completely suffocating.
Exactly. And for the newer fans, shutting out a Tier 1 European side, meaning one of the top-ranked, highly resourced national teams, is an absolute masterclass in defense.
Because a shutout of that magnitude requires flawless execution of set pieces, so the
Yeah.
scrums and lineouts, plus a defensive blitz that gives the opposition zero time on the ball.
Yeah.
The Springbok system relies entirely on predictability. They want to dictate exactly where the ball goes, force the opponent into a mistake under pressure, and then ruthlessly convert that turnover into points.
Like a high-stakes game of chess.
Exactly. Every move is calculated and contained.
But here is where the entire narrative of this opening match just flips on its head. Having a hydraulic press of a defense only works if the opponent stays in the machine and plays by the rules of structure.
Right, which the Barbarians absolutely will not do.
Exactly. The Boks are opening their 2026 season against an opponent that functions entirely like water. The Barbarians are defined by unstructured, unpredictable chaos.
The contrast in tactical philosophies couldn't be starker here. The Barbarians are an invitational club. They do not have a rigid national system.
No system at all, really.
Pretty much. Our sources highlight that their players are selected from across the globe based on 3 specific criteria: form, reputation, and flair.
Just throw them all together.
Yeah, you are throwing together a mix of completely different cultures and playing styles into one locker room just days before kickoff.
And this year, they're competing for the Yes Play Cup. Yes Play is featured right on the front of the iconic black and white Boks jersey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, John Spencer, the president of the Barbarians, made a point to highlight the alignment of values between the club and the sponsor. It's a major South African brand putting its weight behind a fixture that explicitly celebrates the joy, the risk-taking, and the expressive side of the sport.
And that expressive side is exactly what draws the crowds. I mean, Barbarians matches are increasingly rare in this modern, hyper-analyzed professional era.
People want to see the magic.
They do. Last year, this exact same matchup drew 45,000 fans in Cape Town because the public knows they aren't going to see a slow, grinding penalty shootout.
Right, no boring kicking contests.
Exactly. They are going to see offloads out of the back of the hand, chip kicks from the defensive try line, and a team actively encouraged to take massive risks.
Especially with who is holding the clipboard for them this time. The sources note the Wabas are being coached by former All Blacks coach Scott Robertson.
Oh, that is a dangerous combination.
Right. You have one of the most brilliant, innovative tactical minds in the world, and you are handing him a roster of global superstars and essentially telling him, just go have fun.
It's terrifying for defense.
It really is.
Yeah.
But this brings me to the wildest detail in the sources. The final lineup for the Barbarians is typically kept a total mystery until very close to match day. It is 11th hour reveal.
So you don't even know who you're tackling.
Exactly. Now, before we dissect how a coaching staff even begins to prepare for an opponent that doesn't officially exist yet, let me just jump in. While we wait to see who actually lines up for the Barbarians, make sure you line up with us by subscribing to the Rugby Obsession channel and newsletter.
Nice one.
Thank you. Okay, let's unpack this preparation dilemma. Rassie Erasmus and his coaching team are notorious for their microscopic video analysis. They study referee tendencies, opposition set-piece habits, individual player weaknesses. How exactly does a meticulous, detail-oriented coaching team prepare a squad when they don't even know who they are playing against until the 11th hour?
Well, you have to fundamentally shift your preparation away from the opposition and focus entirely onto your own internal systems.
Like just looking inward.
Yeah. When you strip away the ability to analyze an opponent's attacking shape, you remove the safety net of prediction. The Springboks cannot pre-program their defense for this match. They have to rely on their fundamental ability to read the game in real time.
So it forces the players to stop thinking about the script and start reacting to what is actually unfolding in front of them.
Exactly. If the Barbarians throw an unexpected trick play, the Springboks have to trust their spacing, communicate instantly, and make the tackle without any prior warning that the play was coming.
That real-time adaptation has got to be a severe neurological workout for a rugby team.
Oh, it really shakes them out of any off-season rust. Facing an expressive, unstructured team that thrives on chaos forces a rigid defensive line to constantly adjust. Because if the Springboks overcommit to a tackle, the Barbarians acting like water will find that newly opened crack and flow right through it.
Wow.
Defending that kind of fluid movement sharpens the mind and forces the players to be entirely present.
Which feels incredibly intentional when you look at the schedule our sources have mapped out.
Yeah.
This opening day in Gqeberha isn't just about shaking off the rust. It is the curtain raiser for a grueling attritional year.
And it is a massive day overall.
Yeah, the action starts long before the main event. The schedule features a huge curtain raiser match, SAA taking on the Sables from Zimbabwe. And for anyone unfamiliar, SAA is essentially the Springboks waiting room, right?
Yes, exactly. It's the reserve squad. The absolute best fringe players and rising stars trying to break into the main team.
And the sources point out Zimbabwe has officially qualified for the 2027 Rugby World Cup.
Which makes this a highly significant fixture. Zimbabwe is not traveling to Gqeberha for a light training run.
No, they have something to prove.
They are a team on a mission, trying to build cohesion and test their own mettle against elite South African opposition. They're going to bring a ferocious intensity.
That completely turns a standard curtain raiser into a high-pressure showcase. Rassie Erasmus mentioned how eager he is to see the wider squad in action in a proper competitive match. But surely this is about more than just giving the younger guys a runaround. What is the actual strategic value of this SAA game for the coaching staff?
It's the cornerstone of succession planning.
Okay, how so?
In modern international rugby, the physical attrition rate is so incredibly high that your starting 15 will inevitably suffer injuries. You need a pipeline of talent that is already battle-tested at the international level.
Right, you can't just throw rookies in against the All Blacks.
Exactly. By putting those SAA players under intense pressure against a motivated World Cup-bound Zimbabwe squad, the coaches get to see who panics and who executes. It ensures that when a frontline Springbok goes down during the season, the next man up isn't stepping onto the field completely green.
And they are going to need a very deep, very resilient pool of players. Because immediately after this opening weekend, the schedule turns into a total gauntlet.
A brutal gauntlet.
Yeah, in July, the Springboks host 3 tests as part of the new Nations Championship. The opponents coming to South Africa are England, Scotland, and Wales. That is 3 consecutive weeks of Northern Hemisphere heavyweights.
And facing those 3 nations back-to-back requires an entirely different physical toolkit than playing the Barbarians.
All completely different styles.
Yeah, England, Scotland, and Wales bring a brand of rugby built on trench warfare. It involves relentless tactical kicking to dominate territory, heavy forward packs designed to grind down your defensive line, and a heavy reliance on scrum and line-out dominance.
The physical toll of just that July series is going to be immense. But the schedule doesn't stop there. Immediately following the Nations Championship, the sources show the Springboks heading straight into rugby's greatest rivalry.
The big one.
Yeah, a new series playing out every 4 years, consisting of 3 tests against the All Blacks. So we're looking at England, Scotland, Wales, and then 3 straight matches against New Zealand.
It's relentless.
With the Nations Championship and the All Blacks looming so large, it makes me wonder about this Barbarians match. Is this opening match actually a high-stakes stress test for new strategies or a pressure-free sandbox?
Well, it functions as a brilliant synthesis of both, really,
Yeah.
which speaks to the intelligence of the scheduling.
Mm.
The coaching staff can use it as a sandbox because a loss to an invitational team like the Barbarians doesn't impact world rankings or tournament standings.
Oh, that makes sense. So they
Yeah.
can experiment.
Exactly. They can try new combinations in the back line or tweak their defensive spacing without catastrophic consequences.
But the physical demands of the game act as the stress test.
Precisely. You cannot walk into a 3-test series against England and New Zealand undercooked. The Barbarians will force the Springboks to run. They will test their cardiovascular endurance, their scramble defense, and their ability to reorganize under fatigue.
Right.
It basically ensures that the primary squad is battle-tested and the Springbok machine is fully operational before they hit the rigid, high-consequence structures of the Nations Championship.
It is essentially a pressure testing valve.
Yeah.
You throw the team into unstructured chaos to make sure the communication and fitness hold up. And if it works, then when they return to their signature hydraulic press structure against England, they know the machinery is flawless.
Exactly.
Doing all of this in front of a roaring 95% capacity crowd in a stadium where they hold an undefeated record. It feels like the perfect psychological primer for a monumental season.
It builds a very specific type of momentum. But analyzing this clash of styles, the methodical Springbok structure versus the fluid Barbarian chaos, it raises one final, highly intriguing tactical question.
Oh, why is that?
We know the Barbarians are famous for their unstructured flair. But if the Barbarians are famous for their unstructured flair, could facing them actually force the Springboks to unlock and reveal some hidden attacking magic of their own before heading into the rigid structures of the nation's championship?
Oh, wow.
Right. It is entirely possible that playing against a team that refuses to follow the rules might just inspire the Springboks to break a few of their own tactical rules.
That is a phenomenal thought to end on. Could we see a bit of that Barbarians magic rub off on the Parks? Will we see some unexpected chip kicks or offloads from a team usually known for their strict discipline? I would love to see it.
Same here.
And we really want to know what you think. What do you think about the upcoming season? Will the Boks keep their undefeated streak at Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium? Or will the unpredictable Babas find a way to crack the system? Drop your thoughts, your tactical theories, and your score predictions in the comments. We always dive into your takes.
We read all of them.
We do. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the Rugby Obsession channel and newsletter so you never miss a deep dive. Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.